misery as you can imagine.
Jason is really getting.
All right, the Grand Rapids Town Board is meeting
Okay.
today, Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 at 6 PM at the Town of Grand Rapids Municipal Building. We will open with a public hearing. An application has been filed by Town of Grand Rapids requesting an amendment to the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The petitioner requests that the future land use map be amended to change the land use designation of an approximately 1.5 acre parcel of land identified as parcel number 0700666, property address 2410 48th Street South, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494, from other public or quasi-public use to commercial. And 2, an application has been filed by Town of Grand Rapids for the rezoning of the 1.5 acre parcel of land identified as parcel number 0700666, property address 2410 48th Street South, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494, from R2 residential 1 and 2 family to B1 general commercial. First, I'll ask if there's anybody here wishing to speak for. Anyone wishing to speak for? Anyone wishing to speak for? Anyone wishing to speak against? Against? Anyone wishing to speak against? Okay. We'll move into our second public hearing. Conditional use permit request for the property located at parcel number 0700666, located at 2410 48th Street South in the Town of Grand Rapids, Wisconsin. The conditional use permit requested is to allow for the installation and operation of an electronic variable message display on the property owned by the Town of Grand Rapids. And is there anyone wishing to speak for? Okay.
So Douglas Kiesling, 4410 Woodrock Avenue. I'd like to speak for the use of the sign, but there are a couple of concerns that I have that I'd like to express at this time if it's appropriate. I'd like to see the board use a design for Six Sigma process to go through this. And it's commonly referred to as DMAIC, so that stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. The most important part of that process is the define stage. And from what I heard at last meeting, I don't think there's enough definition of what process you're actually going to use to go through getting a sign and putting it in place, what the actual focus will be for the sign, what the scope is, and most importantly, what the ultimate goal is. For instance, how is it actually going to affect the residents of Grand Rapids? Is it intended to keep them informed? And if so, what is it to keep them informed of? And part of that is understanding who are the stakeholders in this whole process. The stakeholders, for sure, are the residents. But I'm thinking like the police chief, Joe Zerlo, and the fire chief, Robert Pyatt, and the public works lead, Mike Smith, might have a lot to add to this process as far as what messages would they actually like to put on the sign and how would it be used. I think they could also add a lot to the process as far as how could it save money. And I just thought of one example. For instance, if we had an Amber Alert in the area that was posted and could be put on that sign so people were aware of the alert, and if a child or a person was rescued as a result of having that on the sign, I mean, that's priceless. I mean, you've justified the price of that sign right off the bat. So that's just an example that, you know, made up. I'm not sure that that's the right one, but that's the kind of thought process I'd like to see the board go through. And I'd also like to see the board get multiple quotes, not just one quote. 3 at a minimum would be my request. That's my comment. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for? And one last speak for. Okay, anyone wishing to speak against? Against? Anyone against? Okay. All right, then we will start our board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, then approving agenda for meeting, any changes? Okay. Approved minutes of the November 13th, 2024 town board meeting.
I can make a motion to approve that as presented.
Bill Clendenning, second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 4, public comment. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with public comments limited to a total of 30 minutes. Note the board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during public comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on the agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. Public comment? Okay. Number 5, monthly reports from departments, and we'll start with the fire department.
Evening, board and residents. Our report for November of '24. We're currently staffed with 48 members, but we're always looking for motivated individuals for fire and EMS. Stop by the fire station, contact me if you have any interest in serving your community. For the month of November, we responded to 37 calls for service, consisting of 24 EMS calls and 13 fire calls, which compared to 30 EMS calls last year in this time frame and 11 fire calls last year in '23 in this time frame. Those consisted of 4 calls in Grand Rapids, 1 call in Saratoga, 2 calls in Grant, and 7 mutual aid calls. So there was 1 structure alarm. The mutual aid calls were a combination of Wisconsin Rapids and Plover. We had 1 false alarm, 1 motor vehicle accident, 1 wildland brush call, and 2 carbon monoxide calls, and 1 landing zone call for a medical chopper. Our training for November consisted, the EMS group worked on spinal mobilization, backboarding, KEDS device, C-collars pertaining to falls, spinal injuries, any thing along those lines. Fire, we did a lot of pumping and drafting, get that done before the cold weather hit, because now we'll lay off of that till spring. Other trainings, our drone team met and continued their license test preparation. And then I had 5 members, 2 officers and 3 firefighters went down a couple weeks ago and spent a whole Saturday on a house burn sponsored by Rome Fire Department and MSTC, and got to burn down a complete house and get a lot of sets out of it. So, and our drone team went down there. One of our drone team members went down, actually did some filming for Rome Fire. So, good day for 6 of our members down there. So that equated to 1 department meeting, 5 training meetings, 1 officer meeting. For public relations in the month of November, 5 of our EMS workers worked the WIA State Cross Country Meet at the Ridges on Saturday, November 2nd. We held our open house and brat fry chili feed, which was a success and great exposure to the department. I'll add 1 quote caveat. Thanks to our admin, Amanda Dotter, she made all the chili. So we super appreciate that. We hosted another Versity Blood Drive on November 19th and 20th, which was well attended, and those have been reaching their goals. That's been such a long-standing drive. We have so many regulars that normally those do real well. Smoke detector program. We did 2 homes this month. We did 3 signs this month. Those will slow up as the winter months come. The safety department, no employees had any injuries to report. So any questions from the board on anything? All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
For November, we had 331 calls for service. It's about on par with November last year. 10 of those were car deers, so they're moving, so keep an eye out. We issued 39 traffic citations, 2 ordinance violations, 18 written warnings. the WIA cross-country meet that was on my last report as we were preparing for it. That was on November 2nd. It's a very, very busy event. Officer Conover in the auxiliary unit handled everything on the town's end for that. And we did receive a thank you from WIAA as a result of that event. November 5th was election day. That was an extremely busy day here. And I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to all the election workers and the town admin staff and everything for helping that go. The police department didn't have any issues we really had to take care of. On November 19th, there was a campus advisory meeting at Midstate Tech. I was there with Chief Hostins from Rapids PD. We talked about upcoming projects and plans that MSTC has, as well as in-service training for law enforcement discussions. Tons of frauds and scams continue. There's actually more, I think, in the last several weeks than last month when I gave the report. There's tons of these are happening around the state and probably around the country. Just keep in mind what information you're sharing over the internet. Generally, law enforcement agencies, federal, local, or state will not contact you if there's an issue and demand any type of payment. Some of these, though, are not the typical gift card type scams where they send you to buy a bunch of them, but they're actually sending couriers in person to pick up, in some cases, extremely large amounts of cash. Law enforcement does not do that, ever. So if you receive an email or any type of that, type of suspicious notification, if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not. Then we are in the middle of the holiday season currently, so please remember to drink responsibly. Make plans ahead of time to arrange for a safe ride home. There are plenty of options. The Wisconsin DOT's annual Drive Sober campaign does start mid-December on December 15th. It will run through the new year, but officers are always alert for impaired drivers, and that's something we will enforce. Any questions from the board or anybody? Okay, thank you.
Public Works.
Good evening, board members and residents. For the month of November, we did a few minor repairs at the fire station and the municipal building. Continued on with our brushing and our patching. Snowplow maintenance on the machines, getting them ready for winter. And as of today, we've been out twice fighting the snow and ice. That's about all we got for the month. Thank you.
Okay, for the month of November, our general checking account has an ending balance of $375,657.79. The repo account to go with that had a balance of $301,468.41. Our money market at Prevail Bank has a balance of $343,440.86. The tax account had a balance of $691.99. The repo to go with that had a balance of $3,923.36 for an overall total of $1,025,182.41. We had outstanding checks of $107,515.75 with an ending balance of $917,629.72. And we have our ARPA account, which is just interest of $9,573.60.
May I just make a comment, please? Looking at the budget where the percentages, it looks to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this past year we've done very well within staying with the budget. There are a few departments that exceeded it, but I think overall with the ones that ended up exceeding over their budget line items offset you know, with the ones that are under. So I think overall, we've done well.
We
Do you
definitely,
agree?
yes, and the ones that were exceeded were unplanned for vehicle
Yeah.
items,
Hailed in.
unfortunately. Yep.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to make that comment.
And we
about
actually did
that.
much better than budgeted for, or
Right.
planned on.
Yep.
All right, number 6, consideration and possible action, Reliance Fuel LLC, doing business as The Store, Melissa Elchu, agent 135 Glendale Lane, Nacusa, Wisconsin 54457, has made application for a Class A beer, Class A liquor license for the premise located at 4010 80th Street South, Town of Grand Rapids.
I can make the motion to approve that. Oh, you want something?
I was just going to make one general note.
Okay.
So in your packet, you have a cover letter. So the current holder looks to be Team Sherrill Companies, and it looks like they're doing a conditional surrender upon approval of granting the license to, it would be the applicant that we have on file.
Thank you, Nick. My motion is still of the same.
Okay?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 7, consideration possible action, ordinance 2024-22, ordinance to amend the Town of Grand Rapids Comprehensive Plan future land use classification from other public or quasi-public use to commercial relating to property owned by Town of Grand Rapids described as an approximately 1.5 acre parcel of land identified as parcel number 0700666, property address 2410 48th Street South, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I can second.
Any discussion?
Just one piece of just background information that's important to note. So the Plan Commission did meet to consider this item at their meeting on December 9th, 2024, after which they did recommend approval as well.
And to note that by doing this line item 7 and 8, the property of the town is going to be of the same zoning.
It would be consistent zoning to the property to the west?
Correct.
Correct.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 8, consideration and possible action, resolution 2024-23, resolution for zoning amendment change from R2 residential 1 and 2 family to B1 general commercial relating to property owned by Town of Grand Rapids described as an approximately 1.5 acre parcel of land identified as parcel number 0700666, property address 2410 48th Street South, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-23.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 9, consideration and possible action, resolution 2024-24, Town of Grand Rapids requests a conditional use permit to allow for the installation and operation of an electronic variable message display at 2410 48th Street South in the Town of Grand Rapids, Wisconsin, parcel number 0700666 in section 22, township 22 north, range 6 east, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin.
Madam Chair, if
Yep.
I could, just because it
Yes.
may have an
Yep.
influence on the motion that you have.
Yep.
So the Plan Commission did consider this item at their December 9th meeting, after which they did make the recommendation through motion to approve this. They did have 3 recommended conditions. You should have an updated resolution at your tables this evening. I'll read the 3 recommendations then. First, that the Town of Grand Rapids obtain written approval from Wood County for placement of the electronic variable message display sign along County Highway W. Second, that approval be obtained from the fire chief and police chief for the proposed sign location to ensure no visibility concerns. At the meeting, both height and setback placement from the road were discussed. Third was a recommendation that the Town of Grand Rapids Legislative Committee consider a municipal sign message policy.
Would we need this incorporated into a motion, or?
If you wanted to incorporate that into a motion, you would approve the resolution with the conditions as recommended by the Plan Commission.
I would go as noted to approve the resolution and make a motion for the electronic sign. That sound okay?
Is that with the conditions that were recommended from the plan commission?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
With the resolution.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I see in here that we didn't have the public works in the condition of number 2. Is that something that we would like to consider to have public works involved, or is it mandated? I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's not necessarily mandated, however, and it wasn't part of the motion on Monday. However, part of number 1 is inherently going to have Public Works getting that approval, so it probably is
I'm good
kind of
with
built
that.
into it.
Yes, I'm good with that.
I have a question. So who will be in charge of this? Who will be responsible for making these changes of the sign? And shouldn't there be somebody that's in charge of it? Can anybody, can Public Works go ahead and change that sign?
Wasn't that heard of? Sorry, go ahead.
So that was discussed on Monday to some extent, and I think what ultimately led to the recommendation that a policy be implemented, I think it would be the goal then to put that on the legislative and work through that, you know, in the pending time that the sign would be incoming. So the idea would be that all of those things would be addressed in the policy that we would adopt.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 10, consideration and possible action, purchase of replacement municipal sign for town hall property address 2410 48th Street South, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494.
If I can speak on this for just a second. Sorry for the late additional quotes with the holiday and everything. That did throw a little bit of a wrench into the plans. I would like to see a little bit more clarification that all 3 quotes that we have received are all completely apples to apples per se. I would like a little bit more explanation from the Rapid Sign quote. The other 2 are very in-depth, but in conversation with all 3, I'm confident that they are, but I think I would like to have some terminology to back that up. That was just a generic request I sent out
Oh, got it.
for
Okay.
the 2 additional quotes.
Okay.
To that kind of a guideline.
I prefer to make a motion to send this to the Buildings Committee and come back with a recommendation as to that request.
I'll second that
Yeah.
motion. I think that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
because of the fact that the dollar amount that is in front of us, and we do have 3 quotes, that would be,
Well, I think we need time to look through these.
Right.
And I think this one's pretty bare.
Yes,
We have
exactly.
questions, I would assume. on
Right.
that one.
Well, and I guess too, the fact of needing police chief and fire chief's approval on the design, which we haven't done yet, would need to be incorporated with the plan, buildings, public buildings group too.
I would like to make a comment though that we did write a grant for this sign, so a lot of comments about like background of what was done and all that are in that grant. So we can bring that back at public buildings meeting too and review why we wrote for a sign.
okay, awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so, wait, there's a motion, a second, all right.
Yep.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 11, consideration and possible action, resolution 2024-25, adopting the 2025 town budget.
So starting from this point on 11, we're gonna be going quick,
Well-
fast through.
Yes,
Okay.
first we'll have to
Okay.
approve.
So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-25, the town's budget.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those, oh, sorry.
No.
Oh, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, 12 through 23 we'll go through fairly quickly because we've already discussed these, and that's why, for everyone here, why we're flying through them.
Yeah.
All right, number 12, consideration and possible action on agreement options with Southwood County Humane Society for $10,400 annually.
I make a motion to approve option 2, which would be the 2-year contract with the Southwood County Humane Society for $10,400 annually.
I'll second that motion.
And then just one general comment that this was reviewed. We did get it built in with the dog exemption requests as we had asked them to.
Okay.
And so this does reflect that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 13, consideration and possible action on $44,220 to be paid to Alexander Airport for 2025 support.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 14, consideration and possible action on assessor contract options with Bomar Appraisal.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Can you add
Which
the
one?
option, please?
Yeah.
Oh,
Which option?
Option 2.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 15, consideration and possible action on 2025 renewal with the Horton Group for Town's Commercial Package, which includes auto, property, general liability, and bonds.
I'll make that motion to approve the policy for $5,059.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Maybe in the future, I know that, you know, a lot of these insurances, there isn't too many people that do these type of quotes, but maybe we could do an ad hoc committee to take a look at that as a suggestion for next year's budget, just to review them a little bit more thoroughly and if there is a possibility to get additional quotes from other companies.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 16, consideration and possible action on 2025 renewal with the Horton Group for Town's workers' compensation coverage.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah,
Yes.
so, Lisa.
So I'd given you a heads up on the increase. Was hoping it was just a typo. After some digging, it is not. Obviously, I'm not going to get into why. I can give you an update sometime, but that is our premium. It's due to a loss in the last 3 years.
Right,
So,
yep.
so it is what it is.
Yeah, and then, again, I would like we can take a look at this ad hoc committee to review this, being that it's a huge jump.
Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 17, consideration and possible action on 2025 renewal with the Horton Group for Town's accident and sickness coverage.
I'll make a motion to approve, there isn't really an option, is it? It's sort of the,
If you want to just in your motion, say with or without
okay,
the
with
MFM.
it would be the 50,000. So is that how I would make that motion?
No, you are on, so our numbers, wait a second, 17.
Oh,
So,
oh,
yes, for the increase to 50,000?
mm-hmm,
Yeah, so if you want to make the motion increasing the limit to 50,000 and declining or accepting the MFM, or
Okay.
MFA, sorry.
yes. What Lisa said.
Okay, so
The
you're
MFA.
accepting the accident sickness, increasing the
Because that-
30,000 to the 50,000
Yes.
limit and declining the MFA program?
That's what we decided at budget.
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct. Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 18, consideration and possible action on 2025 renewal with the Horton Group for town cyber liability coverage.
I'll make that motion to approve the cyber liability coverage at the Horton Group for $1,400.
I'll second the Horton Group.
Any discussion?
And that was approved at budget too.
Yes.
So.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 19, consideration and possible action on $115,491.72 being paid to United Emergency Medical Response in 2025 for current contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the $115,491.72 being paid to United.
And I'll second that, and also note that, like in the notes that Lisa provided, is a 2 installment payment.
Any discussion?
Just a question, what is the annual subsidy? It says also included in the document showing your annual subsidy, and there wasn't any other attachment to this, so I just was curious.
That was
Just
just
in general.
United's breakdown among all, and I can send that out to you.
Oh, please do.
That was, he doesn't normally send that, but I think he
Yeah.
did this year, so I can send it out.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
That was each municipality's share
Yeah.
of charges, I believe.
Yep, or like it's like the calculation that he uses.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 20, consideration and possible action on 2025 Central States Health and Welfare Fund Agreement for Teamster Union employees and non-union employees' health insurance.
I'll make that motion for the Teamsters policy.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Is that the 506?
50640, yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
okay. Is that what your motion is?
You can just say as presented,
As
it's fine.
presented, okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 21, consideration and possible action on 2025 Security Health Plan renewal for Police Department Union employees' health insurance.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Jeff?
Jeff?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
And that's only for, that total dollar amount is only for 5 employees?
That is,
Because it says like right here, 5.
yes, 5,
So-
yep. Mhm. I did think about that, but yes.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 22, consideration and possible action on 2025 Delta Dental renewal for Police Department Union employees' dental insurance.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024's annual, or, excuse me, the dental insurance. My eyes got on the wrong line.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 23, consideration and possible action on options for 2024's annual financial report.
I'll make a motion to approve the 19,950.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 24, consideration and possible action on fuel supply contract authorizing town chairperson to sign in 2025.
Okay. So this is the list of everyone?
We're
No,
still
this
on
is the fuel.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
So this is just the annual, now giving the
Yeah.
chair the okay to sign anytime throughout next year, so.
I can make that motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 25, consideration and possible action on employees carrying over vacation to 2025 as followed by employee handbook.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
When did these hours have to be used up by?
March 15th.
Okay, 3:15?
Yep.
Does that need to be part of our motion?
No,
It's in the
it's
book.
Okay,
personnel handbook.
okay.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. 26, consideration and possible action on applying for future LRIP Tri-D projects.
You won't have anything in your
That's
packet for
fine.
this.
Yeah,
Mike
we
can
won't have
speak
that.
to this if you want. There's nothing in it though for the packet.
I talked to Roland about this and applying for, excuse me, Washington from between 48th and 64th Street, seeing as how we like to do the rest of that section all at once. And if they were doing the calculations, they would do most of the writing for the grant. So, if it's approved, so.
And are you-
Um,
Oh, go
worst-
ahead.
Worst case scenario, we would be looking at $20,000 or $25,000. Otherwise, a 50-50 match like we had on Washington for the LRIP program this year. So, and he does not see why it would not be approved, being that it was LRIP on one end and it's ARIP on the other end. So, it would not make no sense not to do it. So.
And he's good at grant writing. He wrote them for other municipalities and so
And
he's good at it.
I think, Mike, are you looking for, did you want an approval now for when that comes up, or does the board want it to come back when it's time for the
I think the
grant?
committee ought to send it to the board. Well,
So you're just looking for.
Public Works. You know,
So bring it back to the board?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
like to see somebody meet with Roland, that's from the board, and go along with Mike, and
So right now, you're just looking for the board to say, go for the grant writing? Is
Well,
that?
we were gonna try and figure out what we wanted to do on that section of road and get the approvals for that and then write the grant for it. They would have to come up with all the volumes and different specs for what we need. So, and as they do that, there's not much left to finish filling out for a grant. And they would go ahead and do that for us if we wanted them to, so.
So is there a dollar amount attached to this?
We do not know a dollar amount until we
Right.
Yeah.
get a design for what we can get approved through DNR, whatever hoops we have to jump through and try and fix that portion of the road due to the steeper ditches on one side and the constant water from runoff, so.
Madam Chair, so one way that this could be approached is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, similar to ARIP and some of the other grants, this is authorizing working with the county to apply to it. In the event we were awarded it, it would have to come here for approval, so you would still have to bless that. This is just simply applying for the grant to see if we get qualifying funding to do that last part of the road.
I make that motion as discussed.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 27, set per diems for the following members for 2025. Plan Commission, Police and Fire Commission, Board of Appeals, Recycling, Solid Waste and Water Committee, and Economic Development Committee.
I will so approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 28 's November disbursement vouchers. Any questions? All right. '29 operator license applications.
I'll make a motion to approve the 1 year for Beltran, Malone, O'Donnell, and Trot as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, 30 is monthly reports, Public Works, Meet, Airport Commission.
We met, sorry for my morning here. We met December 5th of this month. Nothing huge to update. Ongoing projects are either still in the process or near completion. We did have quite an increase in revenue last year, mainly due to fuel sales, the record fuel sales again, that we talk about pretty much every month. The EAA chapter is basically insisting on a guarantee that they can have the large hangar for their events, which we have agreed to, the commission agreed to have the airport manager issue, which is what is called a NOTAM, which would be a notice to air missions that basically tells incoming planes or prospective renters that that hangar is occupied. So we can have the chapter can have their breakfast and their events. There was a new plow truck purchased for the airport, and we approved a plow for that. A pickup truck was purchased for the airport, and we approved a plow to be mounted and installed on that. And that is about it. January 9th, 2025 is our next meeting.
Recycling, solid waste, and water.
Did not meet.
Okay, and plan commission.
We met this week, and then we ended up having one dog exemption, two certified survey map approvals, the conditional use permit for the sign for the town, and then also the comprehensive plan classification change for the property as well.
Public buildings didn't meet, but will be. Legislative.
Just a general note that as we talked tonight, we'll have that and probably two other agenda items at this time that I can think of. I would anticipate probably early next year, after the first of the year, only because of difficulties in fitting that in with the holidays and that.
Okay, public safety.
Did not meet.
Economic development didn't meet. Personnel, we did meet, and we're going to be talking about some of that in closed session. WTA meeting.
WTA, the meeting was held December 6th at the town of Millador, and the speakers for that was Laura Huber, who is from the 4-H, and she spoke on a number of things talked about various benefits to the kids, and it was quite a long conversation we had. And also Donna Rosar was the representative from the 69th district, and she spoke about this would be her last meeting because her term of office ends. Steve Dickerson from District 2, from the Towns Association, was there, and he explained what the WTA and the TAC committee is doing and the importance of having that committee. And Herrick is also a District 2 representative, Board of Directors representative, and he explained a lot of that ARIP. And again, they mentioned the town of Grand Rapids was one of the biggest ones in the 2nd district. So the next meeting will be held January 17th, and that'll be in the town of Port Edwards. And my understanding is the speaker for that meeting will be our Register of Deeds. And if you have heard on the news how people can go to the Register of Deeds and sign some papers and take over your deed for your property. And it's happening all over the United States. And all you gotta do is sign this piece of paper saying that, yes, I own that land, and if anybody is claiming that land, I want you to notify me. Otherwise, they don't have to notify anybody. And they had this once at a meeting in, up in Pittsville area, and there was a lot of people attended, and they had a lot of people sign that paper to do that. So. And you can go there and sign it anytime you want anyways. I thought that was important to mention. Thank you.
All right, reports from individual town board members.
Nothing tonight.
Jason?
The ambulance committee met the 14th, I'm sorry. Nothing really new to present. They presented us with our 2025 payment schedule and so on. The non-emergency calls for like the lift assist are still a major problem that everyone is battling. Kind of they call it their frequent flyer type people. Non-emergency lifts, they are charging certain dollar amounts to it, and people are just paying them, and they keep coming. Narcan availability was discussed. It is also put a huge drop in the overdose deaths and so on. Availability is I believe 3 different locations in our county. Was some talk of replacing 8 ambulance or several ambulances throughout the next few years, but they're improving their maintenance to the existing equipment and prolonging the life of their existing equipment. And that is all.
Okay, Patty?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah.
All right, next agenda item is future agenda items and date for the next town board meeting. Real quick, for the next town board meeting, the date that we have currently does not work. We kind of were looking at additional dates and not really able to find anything that works. So I would just propose that we skip January and reconvene in February.
And that's due to it not working.
Yes, not
Availability
working.
of the building due to court and so.
Are you looking for a motion on that, or just consensus?
Consensus.
I guess if there is something that's extremely important, you could always call an emergency meeting. And
If we can find availability,
Yeah.
that's our problem.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying that
Yes.
all you need is a quorum. You know, if not everyone can attend and there's an emergency, we still can meet, so.
I guess my only request would be to ask if the Public Buildings Committee can meet prior to that February meeting.
Yes.
So we'll have a recommendation on the sign, so it can be
Yes.
installed hopefully early spring.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
One other
Yep.
future agenda item then, if we're meeting next in February, will be, we'll have a conditional use permit, public hearing, and resolution on a pond quarry application that we've received.
All right, 33, the Grand Rapids Town Board will move into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility for the purpose of considering compensation and benefits of all town employees, and to discuss working agreements of the fire chief, police chief, clerk, and treasurer.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, Bill,
Aye.
Patty,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Okay.